Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the CBL X's and O's podcast for season 2023. I have Beck McIntyre joining me today, and we're going to sit down and review what was round 1 of the Southwest Conference. And what a round it was, Beck.
Yes, it was some interesting results and some big scores for our first round.
Certainly some big scores, and we'll start off in the men's conference, which our first game kicked off was Ararat hosting Warrnambool, and Ararat were able to defend their home court, walking away with an 11-point victors, 9 points actually. How did you see that game unfold?
Yeah, look, I think Ararat will be, very happy with that win, especially as we talked about last week with a couple of their noticeable absences that they have got for this season. So, I think obviously Fletcher Berger has had a great game, 24 points. DJ Woods 14, so Jezza Woods 15. I'm presuming they're probably brothers. So I think there's been some good individual scores, but clearly it was a great team effort for them to come away. I think Warrnambool potentially might be a bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, you'd be certainly a little bit disappointed for Warrnambool to start off with a loss, but I guess you're not the only team that's starting off with a loss. And Colac hosted Millicent on the big road trip that Millicent had, and they walked out with the points. Millicent, it was a big win as well.
Yeah, nearly a 40-point win there, which I think it must be very exciting for Millicent. So they've come away with 100. I think even 100 points in your first game is exceptional, especially when you're just a bit rusty and you haven't played much before. So I think that they would be very excited to be on the road. It's hard to win, and obviously they had all those kilometers they had to do. So I think they'd be walking away with that being very happy.
And Liam McInerney stood tall for Colac, shooting 16 points. It's probably only the start of what Liam's going to produce this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from looking at their list, they've obviously got some young kids and he's going to be a real mentor and role model to them. So what he'll be able to potentially do with the group at the end of the season, I think will be good to have a look to see where they're at. With Millicent, Jack Haggett, he's had 29 points in that game. Jackson Bowden, 24. So, they've had some pretty good, like between the two of them, they've scored half of that. So, they've obviously come out and had a ripping game.
They certainly did look like they have a ripping game, but unfortunately it didn't carry through to Sunday, where they took on Portland in Portland, and Portland came out very strong and shown the competition that they're actually going to be a very high contender this year by defeating Millicent.
Absolutely. And I think it looks like Nathan Hardingham is back to previous season form with his being a previous league MVP. So, he's got 25 points. They've had a bit of a spread across the points, which is always hard to defend as a coach if you've got 4 or 5 people that are contributing 10 or more. So I think Coach Hayden in his first year at CBL there will be pretty happy with that win.
He certainly would be. And obviously Jackson and Jack backed it up, being the leading scorers for Millicent on Sunday. So it shows that they're probably 2 players to watch for Millicent after round 1.
Yeah, definitely. And look, it's always hard to have a big road trip like that for your first weekend. So I think we, Millicent will be back for that, and they'll definitely be in a position where they'll look to bounce back. And I think Portland will be pretty happy with that though, seeing where they're at.
And obviously Millicent will be looking forward to the return game at home in front of their hostile crowd, let's call it, with a bit of banter and good vibes and good times. So I'm sure Millicent will be looking forward to getting back on their home court and potentially getting that win back against Portland later in the season.
Yeah, it does make a difference having your home crowd, I think. So they'll definitely be looking forward to that.
And that's all the results in the men for round 1. After round 1, we see Portland on top of the ladder, followed in second place Ararat, third Millicent, fourth Warrnambool, fifth Colac, and the other 4 teams didn't actually participate in round 1, so they follow down the bottom. And in the Southwest women, Millicent made the trip to Colac and again become significant winners in the women's as well.
Yeah, look, they've had a really good win there. They've had a win by 62 points, which is a massive start to the season. I think Colac have got a really young side. It's the first time back in the competition for a few years. So, it's going to be probably a development year for them potentially. They'll be looking to just improve week on, week out. There was also a couple of tournaments that happened on the weekend. So if they were relying on under 18 girls, they were probably a bit low. I think that potentially happened with Portland on Sunday too. So there was the Hamilton basketball tournament. So that would have taken out a fair few of their juniors as well. So I'm thinking that some of these results obviously have gone fantastic for Millicent, but I think will potentially not something that we can really rely on at this point until that season really starts to kick in. And we have the regularity of the under 18 girls because most teams rely on that age group, especially for the CBL women.
They certainly do. And obviously Millicent probably took their full strength team on this road trip, by the looks of it with the results and, having 3 players top scoring for them in Mackenzie Burke shooting 22, Alana Burkfield shooting 21, and Poppy Venn 17. They're probably 3 players that we really need to watch this season.
Yeah, look, and they've had 5 out of their 7 contribute more than 10 points on the scoreboard. So, that's massive when you've got such a spread of scorers because, you can work out strategies for 1 or 2 of them. But when you do have the ability to go deep within 3, 4, and 5, then it is really hard, especially on your rotation. So I think that that's really going to probably be a strength of Millicent this year is that they're all going to be equal contributors. And as a team, they're going to obviously be really quite strong. So they'd be really impressed with that coming off winning last year and then backing it up with a couple of their losses that they had with the Winter Sisters and things. So I think they'd be really excited with both those wins. And I'll look forward to seeing how that pans out. But yeah, some definitely big contributors on the scoreboard there.
And Sunday they got over the undermanned Portland, from what I've heard from Geordie Cook, the CBL delegate there. They were coming in undermanned because of the tournament, but you look at the scorers for Millicent, and there's another 2 names that are different from Saturday night, which is obviously, as you mentioned, a bit of a spread in the scoring is going to potentially cause teams some trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just hard to work out strategies to try and defend, I think, as a coach. And look, you could tell Portland looked like they were very undermanned just in the photos they had on their Facebook as well. So I think considering that's the case, they did a fabulous job to still make 60 points and only lose by 20. I think Millicent's going to be one of the top teams, and they've proven that with the opening weekend. So, to come off a 20-point losses, you can work on that. That's totally achievable. And I think considering that, they'd be still pretty happy with how they went.
Certainly would be. And Millicent round out round 1 on top of the ladder with their 2 wins. And we've got obviously Portland sitting in second and Colac sitting in third with losses in the round. But that's pretty much all we've got for the round 1 review this week. Not a lot of games. And hopefully, we do know in round 2, when we preview that later in the week, that there is a significant more amount of games. So it'll be good to see after round 2 how the ladder's sitting. Hopefully we've got a little bit more insight into teams, won't we?
Yeah, and look, there's still availability issues, I think, at this time of year, especially in the country. You've got football and netball trips, you've got country basketball tournaments starting to ramp up. So I think it is going to be a little bit hit and miss, especially for this first half. But yeah, absolutely. The more games we get, we'll definitely be able to get a better idea of who's going to be the team to beat.
And that wraps up episode 8 of our CBL X's and O's podcast. Stay tuned later this week where we sit down and we preview what will be round 2 in the Southwest Conference.